There's evil in the world, and then there's true evil. There's a being so evil, so cruel, that there's not a mite of good inside any bone of his body. That is what King Cruel was, burning and suffering in the underworld. King Cruel's ultimate punishment, dealt after he died, was the fact that he was locked in a puffy room alone with nobody to hurt and torture. King Cruel had gone insane a long time ago, long before he died. His hair turned into burning demon hair, and his expression, normally lit up in glee when he was torturing and murdering people, was now blue, because he was suffering. He was so incredibly bored. A portal opened up in his room. King Cruel was so terrified he thought he had imagined it, but then finally, a wizard in dark robes walked into the room with his hands behind his back. "You are King Cruel, are you not?" the wizard said, looking down at King Cruel with an expression of pure disgust. "Yeah," King Cruel said. "Come with me," the wizard said, walking into the portal. King Cruel couldn't believe this. He knew that he was probably just imagining it, but what did he have to lose? He walked through the portal into a library full of burning books. Here, King Cruel looked across. He saw an incredibly pale, tall man, and a man that was constantly looking around, as if in abject terror. "You are 3 of the most despicable demons in all of the underworld," the wizard said. "I need someone to work for me and do an unimaginable amount of cruelty." But the wizard held up his hand, and King Cruel was suddenly completely immobilized. "I don't trust any of you as far as I can throw you, so only one of you will survive. If you die, you will simply go back to your punishments in the underworld. Are any of you interested in returning to the realm of the living?" A lot of things had changed since King Cruel had died, but not really. The world was now full of superheroes. They didn't exist when King Cruel had died, but his memory was a little fuzzy. And as a demon, he was now stronger and faster than he used to be. He could grab the fire out of his hair and use it, but every time he tried to use it on one of his competitors, the Shifty Man and the Quiet Man, the wizard would stop him and make him completely still. "Your first assignment is to terrorize as many people possible at this human sporting event." The wizard held deep disdain, watching people cheer for a basketball team. "Have fun," the wizard said. As soon as the wizard disappeared, King Cruel and the 2 other demons were dropped in the middle of the game. King Cruel smiled immediately. "Let's get saucy," King Cruel said. He grabbed fire out of his hair and threw it at the tallest basketball player on the court, who burned to a crisp. The people in the crowd looked at him, shocked. "Well," King Cruel said, putting his hands up, "this is where you run away." All the people, suddenly terrified, went throughout the bleachers. The Quiet Man and the Shifty Man tried to keep up. The Quiet Man pulled out a knife and started stabbing down at the people running away. And the Shifty Man started pushing people into his mouth, swallowing them whole. But none of them had shocked him, the way that King Cruel's throwing of fire had shocked. And so, after the killing was all done, the people were run away, and the wizard reappeared. King Cruel was laughing, while the other 2 demons looked nervous. "Exceptional," the wizard said, holding back a laugh, but still draped in dour seriousness. "Cruel, Shifty, you're safe." He looked at the Quiet Man. The Quiet Man put his hands up. "Please, not the room with no sound, please!" But the wizard snapped his fingers, and the Quiet Man was swallowed by hellfire. The wizard looked at King Cruel and the Shifty Man. Even though Cruel had won, he knew that he would be under the wizard's thumb. He would have to find a way to break his control somehow. But King Cruel knew that if he was honest about his intentions, he would be the next to go. He had to beat Shifty first. "What's next, boss?" King Cruel said, chuckling. It was fun to kill again. It was fun to really torture it up, but he was imagining all the ways that he would torture the wizard when he finally got him under his control. "Follow me," the wizard said. He snapped his fingers, and they were suddenly freezing cold on top of a mountain. "You 2 are despicable demons, so I imagine that both of you have plotted to betray me," the wizard said, looking out over the icy view. He didn't seem cold, even though King Cruel and the Shifty Man were both freezing. Cold hurts 10 times more to a demon used to the fires of the underworld. The wizard gestured with his hand and his robe over to a wall of ice on top of the mountain. King Cruel gasped. Not only was the Quiet Man there in the ice, screaming in agonizing pain, but 30 other demons were screaming out for help. King Cruel suddenly knew that this was even worse than his punishment, because not only would he be not allowed to be cruel to anyone, but he would also be in eternal, agonizing, physical pain. He looked at the wizard and raised an eyebrow. "Is that where I'm going to go if I fail?" "Very astute," the wizard said, bored. "If I can't find the best demon, I'll just get 3 more from the underworld. You have to really wow me with how evil you are. I know your name is King Cruel, but to be honest," he frowned at King Cruel, "you really haven't impressed me." King Cruel felt it. It had been so long since he had felt this feeling, but finally he knew. Fear. He had to really impress this dark wizard. Thoughts of betrayal went to the back of his mind, but at the same time he knew that whatever this creature was, it was just as bad as the thing that controlled the underworld. He was incredibly, terrifyingly powerful. The wizard took King Cruel and the Shifty Man to a school. He smiled at the 2 demons. "You've proven yourself well enough at killing adults." He looked at the school, then back at King Cruel. "But what about children? How evil are you really?" King Cruel looked out at the school, then back at the wizard. He didn't care about the kids inside, but he knew that this was a game somehow. The wizard was playing at something. There was a strategy. The Shifty Man took his opportunity. He started running into the school, where he would surely start eating children. He burst the doors open and yelled a demonic yell as high as he could. King Cruel suddenly understood. He picked up the fire from his hair and threw a fireball at the Shifty Man. The Shifty Man was about to burst into a classroom when suddenly the fireball hit his face, sending him smashing into lockers. The alarms went. King Cruel smiled. The wizard raised an eyebrow. "Your assignment was to—" "I know what my assignment was," King Cruel said. "But to be honest, killing the Shifty Man just sounds more fun." The wizard smiled a little. "Proceed," the wizard said. The Shifty Man opened his mouth so wide that it was tall as his entire body. "Pretty impressive," King Cruel said, throwing a fireball around. He could see children and terrified teachers watching the 2 demons square off in the school hallway. And when King Cruel looked out at the kids he was supposed to detest, kids he was supposed to want to kill, he suddenly felt a glaring pit in his stomach. He didn't want to kill them. He didn't want to hurt them. He remembered a long time ago, his mother and father, they were the worst. But he remembered he had one teacher. He was such a bad kid, but the teacher still believed in him. He suddenly decided that even if he was a demon, he would not touch the kids. He would not play the wizard's evil games. And that was exactly when the Shifty Man put King Cruel into his mouth. Now you would think being inside of a demon's mouth it would be over, but King Cruel knew that this was exactly where he wanted to be. His hands burned with fire that he grabbed from his hands, and he burned as bright as he possibly could be. He heard a gulp of pain from inside of the Shifty Man's throat, and he knew that this was his moment. He burned with all of the fire and cruelty and rage. He burned as bright as he could be, and finally the Shifty Man melted. The wizard, standing across from King Cruel, looking at him in the eyes, started clapping. "Congratulations, you've won my little game. Now, murder every child and school teacher in this school, and you will be my demon soldier for all of eternity, ready to torture those infernal superheroes." The wizard gestured. "Go on." King Cruel sat in the middle of the school. He looked the wizard in the eyes. "No," King Cruel said. "What?" the wizard said, anger rising. "I won't do it," King Cruel said. "Send me back to the underworld or that ice prison or whatever. I don't kill kids." He looked at the wizard in the eyes, totally ready for the wizard to blast him, to eviscerate him to some tortured prison far away. And King Cruel was kind of okay with it. Sometimes the cruelest thing you can do to someone isn't fulfilling their desires, but instead foiling their plans. The wizard chuckled. "The king of cruelty." He started laughing, touching the back of his head. "I knew I could find a good demon in the underworld somewhere. Well, good enough. Come with me." He opened a portal of nightshade, full of antimatter, going throughout the school. King Cruel stood up and looked out at the kids. The baddest kid in the class was looking at him with abject awe, and King Cruel gave him a thumbs up. "Be good, or you'll end up like me." He walked through the antimatter portal to the wizard's maybe not so evil domain, and King Cruel laughed. He had gotten a second chance at his life, and he wasn't going to waste it.